Srikanth,
Thanks.
most welcome to SQL Server Geeks Annual
Thank
Summit.
you.
Thank you very much.
Brother Damit. Fantastic. Good morning to all of you. Oh, guys, SQL Server Geeks will not be so less in energy. So one more time, let's try that. Very good morning. Great. So that resonates. Okay, just to give a quick intro, thanks a lot for setting the context there, Amit, all across. I'm Srikanth. I run the cloud and enterprise business for Microsoft in India. In fact, it's such an exciting role. Just I can't fathom. Every day you have so much to do around what's the innovation that's happening with people figuring out innovations right across. Just to give you a quick intro on the work that I do, pretty much all the server products, whether it's Windows Server, SQL, BizTalk, System Center, of course our Azure platform, running the P&L for these businesses is what I entail and what I enjoy doing every day. And today is just a fantastic opportunity to be able to come face to face with all of you, because you are the people, you are the team that is actually making such a big difference in taking this platform out, really telling the customers, your customers, or if you're a part of a large organization, your entities, and how you can really use the power of this whole platform. So as Amit outlined, whenever I'm talking to some of the largest customers, take the top banks, ICICI, HDFCs, the largest manufacturing companies, whether it's Maruti or Mahindra, or if it is the fastest growing e-commerce companies, whether it's Flipkart, Snapdeal, a whole bunch of them, there is innovation all around. Innovation is just happening. So for that, these two pieces have to come together. One is the deep expertise that you folks bring around the data platform side of the business. But at the same time, in the context of what's happening around the cloud world that these companies are headed towards, they need folks who can do the deep part of that business, really understand what the data platform entails, how you can solve some very complex problems using the current platform, whether it's SQL, whether it's Cloud Hadoop, a lot of the scenarios coming in there. But more importantly, just extending from there to be able to get the big picture of what's happening in enterprise IT. And in that context, how DBAs, how data administrators, and how data scientists are going to play a very, very different role. And that's where I get very intrigued, because we are truly at the intersection of that area in the history of computing, I would say, where developers and IT pros are literally getting into that zone where developers were considered to be the ones who are going to do the app innovation, write the new code, and get it out. But IT professionals, whether it's in the data platform side or otherwise infrastructure side, for them now a platform is the code. That's a big difference, and that's a big, big, massive opportunity. Platform as a code is it's not a dev concept. It's like the domain of the IT pros. It's the place where you got to innovate at the next level. So what I wanted to do is just take off in today's session from what Ranga and team had done a fabulous job in outlining the depth of our data platform business. Just go a little wider around what is our overall cloud platform story and how Microsoft has such a differentiated play in there. So to be able to do that, I'll just talk about these the 5 scenarios that the full-scale cloud platform really enables. And these are the big jobs that it helps enable or do. One is first transform the data center. You went super deep around unlock the data insight part yesterday, so I'm not going to go very deep today, and you have many sessions to be able to take there. But what I'm going to entail is just have the breadth of expertise and understanding around the other sides of what the platform story brings, and how these dots are connected all together to make the life of a data platform administrator or an IT professional that much more real, that much more innovative, right across the stack. So let's start with the first one, transforming the data center. I mean, this is not a job that like a CEO comes every day and say, okay, let's go figure out how you're going to transform the data center. That's not their job. But imagine any business impact, any business solution that they're looking at. A lot of those roots are laid around how IT is going to enable the transformation to happen for that. You're going to go acquire new customers. You're going to acquire new markets. You're going to be the first to market any particular product. That's what businesses are really caring about. But if the IT is not able to move as fast for them, that's a challenge. And you cannot do that if you're stuck in the legacy world of how your data center works and whether it gives you the flexibility, the agility, and the cost saving that's required. And that's why transform the data center becomes that much more important. So let's quickly look at what we do around just this pillar. What does Microsoft provide today? How is it so differentiated? And see if we can address that. First thing, I think this got addressed in today. But really with our cloud platform, these are the three big differentiators we bring on the table. First one is hyperscale. Now you have many providers who would call us cloud providers, where even a hoster would call and say, hey, I have a data center where I'm exposing these applications and scenarios on cloud. I'm a scalable cloud provider. Our definition of cloud and hyperscale is far, far more, I would say, robust in terms of not just the scale at which we operate, but the size of these data centers, the economies of scale that do come in. And that's a big differentiator. There are probably just three companies, or two companies, I would say, who can even match the scale of investment and the scale that's required to be able to get in there. So I'll talk about enterprise grade and hybrid as we move along. But just let's look at what does hyperscale entail. Really, if you look at Azure's footprint today, which is our cloud platform, it has the data platform as elements as you saw yesterday. A lot of that is connected to how Azure moves overall. It's spread across 19 different regions. In fact, India, as you had announced, Satya had announced the Azure Go Live date about almost a year back, and we are very, very close to making the data center go live. And folks, that will be the biggest opportunity for public sector enterprises, banks. These are the folks who have traditionally shied away from public cloud. They manage massive private data centers. For them, having a local Azure hyperscale data center is a big opportunity to be able to move those workloads and, of course, derive all the benefits that we talked about yesterday. So if there is any other closest competitor, like they will be probably 2 or 3 times smaller in terms of the sheer size, scale, and footprint of these massive data centers. Just to give you a rough estimate, a typical data center we are really talking about is roughly about 600,000 servers, and that is like one part of a region. In a given region, we will have multiple data centers as well. So that just tells you the sheer size, scale, and the level of what I would say volume of business and footprint that we are talking about, and that really defines Azure at a base level. And of course, if you really look at some of the high-end enterprise features we have really made available, a lot of folks had come back and said, hey, like running some high-scale production workloads in cloud, in a VM, I'm not talking about PaaS-based scenarios, in a VM, has been a little limited to the size of the VMs and what you can do. But just look at the numbers up to there. I mean, this number has even crossed 50,000 IOPS, is probably at the bottom end. We are at 64,000 already. That's the scale that you're talking about. Now talk about which applications you can't run in a public cloud VM. There are very few that are left, and specifically in the data platform world. So if you're really talking about machines of this scale and are able to give you the same flexibility, the benefit of cost, now there is very little excuse that is left with IT to say, look, I cannot move to cloud for scalability reasons or for having these machine sizes that cannot hold the kind of compute I need. You got all of that here, and that's where we are really progressing. And in fact, some of the highest end workloads or even mission critical workloads are the ones that we would look to run on these platforms. Compliance. The real fact that if you look at Azure's compliance rate, whether it's right in the industry compliance, SOC 1, 2, all the way to the one that is very relevant to the United States, plus there are regional things, whether it's China, New Zealand, Australia, they have multiple government compliances. And obviously in this new world, like India is the hub of innovation, but this innovation is not limited to customers who are going to consume this data in India. You're going to write apps or you're going to work around platforms that will address customers worldwide. And when you do that, you also need a backbone that is compliant worldwide. And that is fundamental, I would say, big differentiator when you compare it with any of our cloud providers. Enterprise scale and compliance coming in together so that you're secure. The platform is taking care of all of these requirements coming in. And then now, the biggest thing that I think is really going to change the game is around the marketplace. So not just about provisioning our own first-party IP that we have, it's also about getting, if you look at the entire list there, you have seen Oracle, IBM, SAP, Informatica. There are about 1,000 others who are there on the Azure Marketplace. Even local Indian ISVs that we are working in with together would be able to get in there and sell their wares either packaged as VM or as a service that people can just go to a platform and be able to consume. Now this is a big opportunity because if you're really looking at cloud infrastructure and scale, having IP from these providers that runs today in your infrastructure, but now can move to cloud in a click of a button, is just magical. And that's what large enterprises, and a lot of them today, are very, very excited about this fact that, hey, you're not just talking about raw platform, compute, storage. No, we're not talking about that. What we're really talking about is this whole app stack, which is not just Microsoft. So Microsoft will have its own first-party app stack right on Azure, and there are many services that are coming in there. But a lot of them are even third-party applications. And these are the ones that are desired by the enterprise. So that way, the reason why I'm giving you this entire flavor is just look at, in your current role, what is happening around the breadth of the platform. And that is going to play a big role in how you architect, how you define, how you tell your customers as to how you should look at these applications. That's very, very central to the way Azure moves in. But before I met it, there is a very, very interesting service. Since I touched upon the IT Pro world, you will all notice why it is an important service. That just managing servers, managing IT deployments has been not such an easy task, especially if your IT is spread between different things. You have some IT residing in a large enterprise on-prem, some residing with a hoster, some residing on a public cloud like Azure or in Amazon, and of course you have your own private cloud with a VMware or a Hyper-V, virtualized infrastructure sitting in there. How do you just manage this whole sheer breadth of IT that you would have? And you might say, hey, yeah, this is very relevant to the network IT provider. He's the one who should worry about. But no, just look at how this will spread cleanly to when you are deploying applications, when you are defining where those applications are going to run and how the data for those applications has to be managed. You need to figure this piece out as well. You cannot say, hey, this is one piece that let IT administrators worry about as much. As DBAs, we really don't care about what's going to happen there. That world is merging, guys. That's the world where you got to really figure out, hey, okay, are there these management tools that we can leverage far more deeply? And that's a beautiful service we have launched, which is Microsoft Operations Management Suite. It is literally, in simple words, helps you manage infrastructure that's running on Azure, whether it's on a private cloud, Hyper-V, VMware, OpenStack, doesn't matter, Amazon Web Services, doesn't matter. Like, it is cloud agnostic, private, public, it's totally cloud agnostic. But it's running as a service. It's running as a service, it's a cloud service that basically figures out how and what is happening in your IT infrastructure. Extrapolate this, and there will be next layers and possibilities that will come in around how data platform management will become a part of this journey as well. This is very, very powerful. I'll just give you a simple story. One of the largest universities in India, roughly about 5,000 servers sitting in, they are the largest in India, by the way, 5,000 servers sitting in their hosting environment, in their university, and then the CIO watched this particular demo as I was talking, and he just picked up the phone, called up his team and said, hey, there is an interesting service. Apparently, it's already available. Can you just try out for the servers? They're saying, it can manage servers in a click of a few buttons. You just need to provide the right address to be able to manage your data center, and it deploys the client and starts managing them. In just about an hour, they got rich insight into roughly 5,000 servers that were running in a distributed environment right across their hosting center, their data center, to a third-party provider. And it gives beautiful snapshot views about what's happening, what is the network traffic, where's the bandwidth going, are there some other logins happening, in just a matter of an hour. Like, he was just bowled out, hey, this kind of a magical service that helps me and see and manage my data centers, where I don't have to deploy anything. I don't need to implement anything. It's a ready cloud service. That's the power of cloud that we're bringing in. And the reason why I'm talking to you a lot about this part is you can really extrapolate and say, hey, let's look at management layers that are going to come in. Right now, it gives log analytics, automation, backup DR. A lot of those services are built in, and it will get richer and richer as we talk about. So this is the equation that's happening in the enterprise. And now you should be able to put the pieces in together. Okay, as you look at apps and the data stack, how will this play a bigger piece in there? So that's the point I want to raise. Second thing that comes up, which is what we're really launching, is literally removing the boundaries between private and public cloud with a feature or capability with Azure Stack. This is public cloud. Now, when you are defining applications and data storage, keep in view this capability, because this will get increasingly better. For a network, for For a guy who's running a data center today in a large enterprise, for him, the private world is one world, public cloud is another world. Just trying to collapse these two worlds together and make them as seamless. The UI, the look and feel, how the apps move, all of that is what we are trying to really make it as seamless with Azure Stack as a thing. And a lot of our hosters, a lot of our large private cloud enterprise companies are really buying on to this model, because for them it makes Azure almost as seamless extension to their data center as it is. It's not two worlds that are going to sit out there. And then with other capabilities that we have bought in with Express Route, which is basically almost, I would say, a direct, bypassing the internet, a direct connectivity from your data center into an Azure data center, so that the latency challenges are resolved. You can literally upload terabytes of data and not wait for hours or days to be able to even look at that capability. That is something we are working very closely. So literally the worlds of private and public are coming together with these capabilities. And that's going to be a big game changer as you relook at how data is going to reside on-prem or it's going to reside on cloud, and how it is going to be managed as well. That's the reason why I would say in the new world you may have to relook at how you're architecting data workloads very clearly for both on-prem and cloud. So just that's the flavor, and I think we touched upon what's happening on the on-prem products as well. They are moving equally seamlessly around what I would call to enable this whole public and private cloud vision come alive. So since we touched upon the data center, that's the reason I told you I will not go a little bit deeper around this part of the equation, which I think the team had done a great job. But I think I wanted to make sure that you're able to see the connecting of these dots. So transform the data center entailed all of that I talked about, hyperscale, the ability of Azure, the management capability to be able to cut across different environments, and the seamlessness between private and public cloud. See how that implies to what's going to really happen if you have to be able to unlock insights. How can you leverage the power of that platform to be able to make the data part of the story that much more stronger? So I'll breeze past through it, I think, because you pretty much know this, and there are plenty of sessions. SQL Server 2016, the game-changing platform that will be up in the market. In fact, it's the fastest growing business for me, as I told you, I run this P&L. If there is one business in India that is going leaps and bounds, it's SQL Server. In fact, I'd be at least sharing even the kind of customer acquisition rate, which has almost tripled, just to give you an equation, tripled in the last 1.5 years. The number of customers that are embracing SQL. SQL 2016 is going to reignite that battle literally to a different level. I'm really talking about 2012. Number of customers who are moving has almost tripled in the last 1.5 years just around SQL. And 2016, I can only fathom what's going to happen. Fastest growing platform for us. You looked at what Stretch does and how it really helps. These are the capabilities. In fact, this is just an example or a snapshot of if you combine the power of the cloud platform that's coming around Azure and be able to take the best of on-premises infrastructure. These are the scenarios that are coming in. But this, I believe, is just the start of the game. There are more powerful features and capabilities that we are working towards. Power BI, I think you will have a fantastic deep dive session later in today as well. This is also a game changer when we talk into every large enterprise. It's basically saying, hey, if there is one platform company that connects all the dots together, right from prioritizing the data, managing the data, to now visualizing the data together. And Power BI is pretty powerful service right now that is getting us that level of attention in the enterprise as well. Advanced analytics with R and ML. Again, you will have those deep dive sessions that you can go a lot more deeper as to what this entails. And then we will touch upon SQL data warehousing as well as data lake. So data warehousing and data lake will be two different topics that I think you'll be going in deeper. But I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot of how SQL data warehouse is different from the AWS Redshift, specifically on the cloud. So here's where you see how we are differentiating at every level to be able to give you that kind of service. So this, as I told you, now you're connecting the dots around. If you saw, we covered the transform the data center, You went a lot more deeper on data insights yesterday. Let's look at another piece in the puzzle, which is really, really important for enterprises and is important as DBAs, as the data platform specialists in a company to understand what's happening in this domain and how when you're looking at these applications or architecting for them, why this story is such a critical one. First, just you saw yesterday in Ranga's keynote as well, like the proliferation of devices is also driving the huge data explosion that's there, because obviously it's at the touch point where you either consume or create content or data that goes in. But device proliferation also leads to a lot of other problems: security, manageability, identity cutting across apps that are going to reside on the phone, apps that are going to reside on your PC. How do you manage all of that? And that's a beautiful service that, which is the fastest growing service on cloud. So while SQL is the fastest growing platform on premise, away from cloud, but enterprise mobility service is almost, I would say, the fastest growing cloud service for us that helps you manage devices on other front and cloud services on the other side. In fact, it's one service that helps you manage iOS, Android, Windows devices, not just for identity management and device, but even for data protection all across. So the data that is going to be in the corporate file with domain of the corporate cannot be, I would say, copied or pasted onto an app that is not in the corporate domain. Let's say, for example, there is a conversation that's going between the CEO and his accountant or his finance team around, which is confidential, and that data, it's on a tablet. Imagine if the tablet is not protected by a service. Someone clicking, or accidentally, even if it lands onto a Facebook or a Twitter chat, company's confidential data is right in the public domain. Scenarios like this, services like this, prevent exactly that from happening, because they are so much powerful. They will not allow copy pasting of data between what you treat as an enterprise protected app and what is a consumer app like a Facebook, Twitter, or whatever you call it on the personal domain. That's data protection taken to the next level. Just have a service enabled, it will take care of how it protects this data. Just I'm giving you an example of data protection. Device protection, remote swipes, all the way to be able to even put some specific policies, data-led policies. Now that's what is probably more important for you. Can you have data-specific policies that can be put on different device or form factors? That's the capability that EMS also enables you right across. So this is a very, very powerful story. And I think I've just told you only the device side of the story. Enterprises have another problem. With the whole explosion of apps, both internal and the SaaS apps that they are embracing, they need common identity across all of these apps. Imagine if you have to log in like 5 times where you have to access an app which is running locally, and then again you have to log in to be able to access an app which your company is providing for you, but it's a SaaS based, let's say Salesforce.com, CRM, and you would have to log in again. It's like a nightmare. But imagine if there is one service that basically authenticates you across apps that are going to reside locally and apps that are going to reside on the cloud, irrespective of where they are coming from. We are pretty cloud neutral. So whether authenticating across SFDC or a ton of other apps, SaaS apps that are out there, whether it's NetSuite, SFDC, even AWS is what we have started in there. All of that with your on-prem is what that one service does. So mobile management, device management, data protection, and logging into multiple app categories is what a cloud service like EMS provides. How you factor this into when you are planning your data journey is very, very critical. And in fact, that's where I find any large enterprise when we walk into, these two pieces haven't been thought through very deeply. The enterprise architect who is worried about data platform, talking about storage, and how the apps have to access the data, and the guy who's worried about security and enterprise mobility, they are two disconnected dots. And this is where we believe folks who are able to connect these dots are able to have far richer, far deeper conversations and create substantially high value for that large enterprise. So this is something we are finding pretty much fastest, as I told you, a fastest growing product in there. There is another interesting product that came in as a part of this OMS suite as well, which is advanced threat analytics. Now imagine there is a service that is running that basically proactively detects the threats that are lurking in your enterprise and be able to tell you right across. Whether it's a brute force attack on your LDAP, or whether it's an identity theft that is happening. Basically it tells, hey, Mr. User, this identity user was logged in from Korea at 9:10 a.m. And again, he logged in from USA around 10 o'clock. You can pretty much see there is a someone is trying to hack, because the guy can't be there in two locations which are so far wide apart and try to do that. And that's a cloud service that's running in. Now, how do you extend it to all scenarios? These are all at the network level right now. But being aware of how these services can be used right across as a part of your overall cloud platform is extremely critical to the success of what I would say as an enterprise. So we covered pretty much all the capabilities. Reason why I'm still also not going on IoT is because there are 3 different tracks. If I'm not wrong, Amit can correct me there, which are going super, super deep. So we said, okay, we'll not go deep on IoT because there you will have those sessions. But I'll touch upon the last piece in that puzzle, which is how do you enable application innovation to happen as well? So with Visual Studio family, the best-in-class developer tools that you have it in there. And it's not just on this side of the domain, which is the Windows, .NET, Java, and other things, but you can see all the extensions that have come in right through other tools, whether it's Eclipse, Xcode, Sublime, all of them coming together. So Visual Studio Online, which is another way of developing code, storing code, writing all of it. It literally, imagine the TFS capabilities being put to the cloud. That's when it becomes that much more powerful. So suddenly you see that in the Microsoft's entire gamut of that whole cloud platform, right from cloud infrastructure starting with Azure, to really talking about the data platform and all the beautiful capabilities that we are bringing in today, to enterprise mobility and managing them on all of it at one level, not just mobile, but even applications, and then having a rich capability which literally entails how you're gonna code, write the next generation of applications. You literally have that full complete stack. And that is a stack that we believe is the one that really fosters, enables innovation right across. And whether you're a manufacturing company, whether you're working for an e-commerce giant, or you're working for a startup, that's all what you would need, which is best in class and is innovating at the best level. So I took this humble effort to be able to connect the dots right across and make sure that you have a full view of where is Microsoft headed, what innovation we are bringing in all together, and really make this very successful. So thank you very much, and I welcome you to have a great conference ahead of us. Thank you.